As we continue in the lesson provided, Salakia for me being tired as so often, but I tried to stay up to bring this lesson out, which I believe you almost continue to do. So let's deal with deal with Sarah and Hagar, which was the Egyptian woman, dealing with the multiple wives or wife and concubine, meaning it's not unlawful because it was allowed, and it was allowed because it's also pertaining to the law. If a man wants to have more than one wife, he can, but he also has to be able to mind them. Basically, is what the Bible is saying. Let's get this precept. Genesis 16 verses 1. Now Sarai, Abraham's wife, bare him no children, and she had an handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. So you understand that so far? So we already know the story it goes into, but for those who are new, be edified. Sarai, which name was of course changed to Sarah in the coming after this. Let's go into the main topic. Sarai said unto Abram, Behold, now Yahweh had restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai. And Sarai, Abraham's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived, and when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. And Sarai said unto Abram, My wrong be upon thee. I gave my maid unto thy bosom. When she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. So Yahweh judged between me and thee. So it shows, as you can see, one more time, we see where Sarai displayed, in other words, trying her best to display obedience to the will of the Heavenly Father, thinking that she couldn't bear, gave up her servant to Abraham. We see that. Her handmaid to Abraham. We see that. If it was not lawful, it wouldn't have been done. Because the scriptures made it very clear. Let me get a precept. Immediately. It says, if the Sirach chapter 50 and verses 20, he had commanded no man to do wickedly, neither had he given any man license to sin. And seeing this was not recorded as a transgression, because according to the law, it can be done that way, would make anyone who tried to dismiss having multiple wives as a transgression to be in error. You are in error if you believe that having multiple wives is a sin. Very simple. Now let's get to another account as to where, let's do the aspect of the one with David. Come on, make this is very clear. If you listen to the words given unto David by his brother from Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, you would already understand that without a doubt that this is not, having more than multiple wives is not a transgression. Simple. But if you want to lean and you want to believe in your own way, then you go ahead. Let's get into it. Let's read. And Nathan said to David, Thou art the man. Thus saith Yahweh, power of Israel, I anointed thee king over Israel, and I delivered thee out of the hand of Saul, and I gave thee thy master's house and thy master's wives. One more time. I gave thee thy master's house, and I gave thee and thy master's wives, plural. If it had been a transgression, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai would not have appointed Nathan to display this information unto David. Stop trying to add in multiple wives as a transgression. If you don't understand scriptures and texts, say that. But when you begin to lean on your own understanding and think about your own ways and believe that what this is about is not what it actually is, when the texts have already been verbatim, you are in error. And for many of those who do these things are the same partakers who go to read the book of Enoch and all the pseudepigrapha book and label them as true, but this simple text is not labeled as true. I just wonder sometimes what really going on with y'all, but I can't say nothing. As much as I want to say, let the lesson bring it out. All right, forget me, forget my words. The lesson is bringing it out. So as he says again, I've gave thee thy master's house and thy master's wives, plural, into thy bosom, which is now his own, and gave thee the house of Israel and of Judah. And listen to what it says. Because David transgressed by what? Adultery and then murder. Firstly, adultery, which is why the text of giving him thy master's wives into thy bosom was brought up. Very important. And if that had been too little, I would moreover have given unto thee such and such, meaning more. Because he went into Uriah's wife and then killed him after. Sending him out in the battlefield, knowing it is inevitable, with no form of help. Killing him. The plot and plan to do so. Went in onto Uriah's wife. The Yahweh Shemashah is telling him, you would have gotten more and more beautiful wives. Because the issue here is him committing adultery with another man's wife. But no, let this bypass all your brain and then continue to say, this is multiple wives thing. That is a lie. This is not how it's supposed to be. That's a sin. Or a transgressing. Alright. I'm not saying that if it's not expedient, no problem. We understand. If it's too time consuming, we understand. But it's not unlawful. Don't treat it like it's a transgression. If somebody else is doing it, you quickly treat it like it's a transgression. That means you don't know the law. That means you don't understand the ways of Yahweh Shemashah. Because in the kingdom, the very kingdom, this is going to be ideal. Very ideal in the kingdom. Because if one is going to become 1,000 and our seed is going to be blessed and going to be multiplied expediently, because we are going to now be on top having everything, all the resources and servitude from the heathens. They're going to provide more resources to us by any means necessary. We would now be able to take care of multiple, more than one wife. Again, increasing the purpose of what? Being fruitful and multiplying without having to worry of our children being unalive or things happening to them or we not be able to provide. Which is also another lesson we will have to do after. Alright? Dealing with the kingdom aspect. But as for now, we already show you 3 accounts as to where again it was done because it was a lawful act. It wasn't unlawful to do. It's a choice that we could choose to do, which is not unlawful. Come on. This is why we continue to apply Isaiah 8 and 20. Because notice, no transgression being made with Jacob, no transgression being made with Abraham, with David, concerning having multiple, as mentioned by Yahweh Bashim Yoshai, through Nathan, I believe it's Gershom as well, a few others, Solomon, you see, a few others having this. It was not a transgression to have it. So let me not reach or lean too much. Let me get a precept. Really and truly saying that what the Heavenly Father has promoted, which you all say it is a sin, would say that what He has promoted is a sin. Now let me ask the question as mentioned in Romans 9. What shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with power? Power forbid. There's no unrighteousness with the Heavenly Father. It was set up so for a reason. This is the reason why in biology men are more susceptible or more as a term, I forget the term in biology, but let me just break it in layman terms. Men are capable of impregnating more than one woman in the space of a day because they are designed like that. Remember the blessing, not the blessing, the commandment to be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and have dominions over the creatures of the earth, of course, but more so dealing with being fruitful and multiply. It will be much easier for multiplication to take place with more than one. Example, 1 times 1 equals what? 1, right? But of course, when they bring a child, it will be 2. 1 man times 10 women make it what? 10 child. If it's twins, even worse. It's much more easier to multiply, to be fruitful and multiply with more than one, which is why it was allowed from the beginning. We got next precept one time. Looking for a precept I can't remember how it go. I wish I did save that precept, you know. It was somewhere in Rushburn, in Exodus. I wonder if it's 23. Alright, you know what? Let's continue. I'm looking for a precept back and forth. So let's go into Corinthians chapter 7. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, which you see us going into. Alright? To showcase that this is not what Paul is referring to, you know. You all misunderstand the scriptures that they do. You know that. But let's go into it. It says, and we know that I like to go into this. Like I straight to the like read from coming down. Alright. Alright. Now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. Here it says, and let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband, it says, the wife had no power, we know that, over her own body, but the husband, and likewise the husband had no power over his own body, but the wife. It says, defraud ye not one to another, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency. But I speak this by permission, not of what? Commandment. For I would that all men were even as I myself, but every man had his proper gift of power, one after the other, one after this manner, other after that manner. I see therefore to the unmarried and widow, it is good for them if they abide even as I. Why? Because Paul was going into number one. First, matter of fact, let me go to number two first. Paul was going into the aspect of what? Making that time and supplications for Yahweh Shai. He himself went without. And what was the purpose? To serve Yahweh Shai in sincerity and in truth. And in truth, he was able to withhold himself. But next purpose, remember the scriptures before dealing with what? Let's read it. It was reported commonly that there is fornication among you, which is what was mentioned here. Let's go back into this thing where it says, firstly, read the first two parts, and then we'll continue. Now, concerning the things whereof you wrote unto me, it is good for a man to not touch a woman, nevertheless to avoid fornication. What was the fornication aspect being displayed? When you go back into precept, it further clarifies, right? Among you, and such fornication is not as much, fornication as is not so much as named among the Gentiles, that one should have his father's wife. That's the problem. That is the problem. It's written right there. Because when they go into the account, let's get information. So let's go into it now, right here. Text commentary, Jameson's, right? 1 Corinthians chapter 5 and verses 1. Let's drop down to this extra part here. What I read, it says, so much as name the oldest manuscript and authorities omit name fornication of such a gross kind as exists not even among the heathen, so that one of you had in covenant, right? His father's, his father's wife, that is his stepmother, whilst his father is still alive. That is the fornication taking place. Hence, he made sure to warn these people. He had to reiterate, he had to correct them and warn them, hey, see earlier, that heat all you have there, trying to jump on your stepmother, don't do that. Better get all your own wife. Don't get your father's wife. Get your own wife. And ladies that are allowing this, keep to your own husband. It did not say that you're supposed to have only one. That's the problem. That's the point of it. Let's keep going. It says, while his father is still alive, compared, which is Leviticus 18 verses, the law itself. Let's get that precept immediately. And also, for example, I'll sleep. Yeah, I know that. I haven't slept a while. I'm trying to keep up. It said right here, that the nakedness of thy father's wife shall thou not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness, which is fornication, sexual immoralities. So for those who like to say having a next wife or next woman aside from your wife is fornication, you don't understand scriptures. It's very clear. Had you studied to show yourself approved to notice? No. And then Paul also went into, if it could be by yourself, you could do so. So are you saying that you should be by yourself, not be married? No. It's for the purpose of what? The purpose of understanding the truth. So you could what? Further bring forth and strengthen the ministry of Yahweh Shai. You could be a partaker of teaching those who are in the truth. It will be easier to have no wife or no wife, no spouse, no wife to deal with, because why? You would have more time now for Yahweh Shai. This is why when you jump down to 8, let go back down to 8. Let me get it. Jumping down to verses 8, where it says what? That's why I say therefore, on the unmarried and the widow, it is good for them to, if they abide even as I. But if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn. See that? He is not commanding people to not marry, to not have wife or husband, nor is he commanding people to only have one wife or one husband. He is stating for those who are committing that adulterous act, hey, get your own wife, and for the woman, stick to your own husband. So plain mad. You have a husband which is the stepfather, which is the stepfather. Stop doing that. Simple. It's that simple. So that doesn't show it is not unlawful, as you like to claim and bring precepts up. If you don't understand these precepts, why bring it up? And then when I bring the information out for you all, you're upset of the precept that you bring it. And the reason why I said because the reason why the lesson is being brought is because the person bring it. And when I explain it, they get upset. Look at next precept one time, because I want to display this even more. The penalty for that: a man that lieth with his father's wife had uncovered his father's nakedness. Both of them shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Simple. Deuteronomy as well, 22 and verse 30. And it says, a man shall not take his father's wife, nor discover his father's skirt. So you understand what it's going into, right? So there shouldn't be any issues, right? Because when you go into go back into 1 Corinthians chapter 5, like go back into it immediately, just jump down to verse 13, and it shows you, right? Let's read. It says, but them that are without power judgeth. Therefore put away from among you yourselves that wicked person. So they are not going to be, even they have done the act already, they are still going to receive that judgment. It's only a matter of time. But so you have, at the end of the day, the aim is to remove these transgressions or the sins or the practice of that act from these people. Hence why Paul made it clear. Notice, if that was to be a command broadcast to Israel, all Israel wasn't even there. The Northern Kingdom wasn't in the next side of the world. So they're practicing that particular act of polygyny would have led them into transgressions when not knowing also. You see, there's a balance in this whole thing. Hence the reason why it's very clear that Paul was not speaking concerning having multiple wives. He was speaking concerning children going to their father's wives. That's what going into. Fornication, straight up. In other words, adultery, but fornication in a sense. So I hope this information was clear. Sorry for sounding so muffled. Sorry for sounding so tired. I'm trying. So lucky. Maybe I did a lesson like this before in a more energetic state. But as for right now, I am sleepy. And I still have to, right now, after this, prepare for work later tonight. So, I hope this lesson was edifying, simple, straight to the point. I say Shalom Yasharala, Kal Halalia Yahawa, Bahasham Yahawashai, Bahasham Rakakodash. We give double honors to the apostles and prophets and elders of Jesus Camp. But on us get wisdom for the 100% truth that I may correctly edified under. Shalom to the elect, tabernacle of David. And I am a brother, Kazak, from Heralds of Yahweh Shai, saying to you, Shalom.